So what are React props? Well, React lets you use something called props to pass data from React component to React component. And this is great. Props is just an object with properties, and the nickname for it is props. You can see here, this is my one component. And in that component, I've passed a props, that's what we call it.
Wow.
And you have something called props.ingredient. So ingredient is the property inside the object props. So why would you use props? Well, props lets you enter data in one component and have it show up in the other component like I just showed you. This can be really useful for having clean systematic code, and more importantly, a dynamic application where your UI can change based on the data requested. So just explain it in just 10 more seconds here. You can make a React component. You can define a property of the props here as ingredient, or whatever you call it. And then within the component that you have created, you pass the props object, and you can access it by saying props dot the name of that property. So that's why here it says top bun for my component top bun. If I changed it to example bun, it changed to example bun. If I change this to something even slightly different, that's not the name of the ingredient, of the ingredient property, even if I said ingredients, nothing will show up anymore because my top bun component is looking for the object props and the property in that props object called ingredient, not ingredients. If I change it back to ingredient, it will work again. And I just realized I've made a huge mistake in this code. It's even worse than what I've done above here, which is declaring global variables inside a loop. I did that just for convenience. It is that this sandwich has no sauce to it. I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I didn't check that before making this video. If you want to code this sandwich and play around with React props, you can go to my GitHub and download it and add your own sauce to the sandwich. React props are awesome because you don't have to pass it like this, hard coding. You can take data that you've predefined, and here I've made it as different types of sandwiches, and you can pass it in as a prop so that when something changes on the UI or the UX that you have, the user interface, the corresponding view changes so that your view changes depending on what you requested from the server. For example, this is just a sample sandwich, but if I made an Italian sandwich, now the sandwich changes.
Wow.
If I made it a ham and cheese sandwich, of course it changes if I type it correctly. And then if I made a buffalo sandwich,
Wow.
it changes as well. Just based on what I have put in for the data. And then you can access that in your return function here. And all I did was, and what you would do is, you can just map over that array and return a component for each of the things inside that array. So that is the very quick summary of React props and how to use them in your own example.